Late night talking under moon's glow. Charles and Melinda got the flow. Real talk.
What's up, fam?
What's up,
All
fam?
right, just keeping it real with Charles and
Melinda?
yep,
And
we have a guest today, and we're gonna say that we are honored to have this man. He's been an inspiration, larger than life, in several ways, and especially if you're in the triad, you lived in the triad area of Winston-Salem and the surrounding areas, Greensboro, High Point area. You know the voice, you know the name, big as life, bigger than life as well. So we just want to go ahead, and I want to introduce you, and I want to tell you. So we're going to introduce our family to Mr. Nigel Alston.
Yep.
Okay, so here it is. Nigel is a former executive with GMAC Insurance. He's a motivational speaker, and if you remember, if you lived in the area, you heard the motivational moments by Nigel Alston. He's a Dale Carnegie trainer. He's a meeting facilitator and a columnist. Additionally, he served as interim director for the Forsyth County Department of Social Services, executive director of the North Carolina Black Repertory Company, and director of marketing, alumni, government, and community relations at WSSU. And I'm going to say, my wife, so alma mater.
Yes.
Exactly, okay. He's a native of Winston-Salem. He received the Winston-Salem Urban League's Community Service Award in 1989. And he was inducted in the Winston-Salem Sportsman Hall of Fame in 1994. He is also a longtime member of the fundraising committee for the National Black Theater Festival. And we know that's a big event in Winston-Salem area if you ever lived there.
Continuously.
Yes, so he is a member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Sigma Pi Phi, which also the Gamma Kappa Boule, and the Piedmont Triad Leadership Council. Okay, he's married to the former Sarah Deborah Littlejohn,
Yes.
who inspired and challenged students at Paisley Magnet School located in Winston-Salem. So Nigel, he encourages people to succeed and inspires them to act. So make sure you listen out again as we present to you Mr. Nigel Alston.
Yes, thank you. Good, yes.
All right. Brother, we appreciate you. Grace in our stays.
And I must add to that
Yes.
that he was my mentor as well as my directorship
Yes.
at Winston-Salem State University. My boss in the marketing department that did a phenomenal job. We missed him when he left, and it was an impact for all of us. And his wife is such a beautiful, beautiful soul that we all appreciate their gift to us and to Winston-Salem area.
Yes, definitely. Right. So, again, we appreciate our time with them. We do treasure. And we want to just get a little information on what Ms. Alston does and just his journey over the years. So we want to talk about business. Or we want to talk about
His motivation and
okay, all right, that's what we're going to do. Okay, so, Mr. Alston, if you would, give us an idea or just a summary of the things that you do with business and motivation.
Give me a summary. Where to start? Let me give you this kind of an overview, and then I'll let you pick and choose. Okay, start here, start there, or give me more about it.
Okay.
So I attended and graduated from Livingstone College, where Sarah and I met as freshmen back in 1970, and we have been together since the fall of 1970. So it actually will be 55 years this year.
Okay.
And all the years of marriage. Started working at Intergon Insurance, which became GMAC Insurance, which became National General Insurance. I worked there for 36 years. Left her back in 2010. Now, during the time that I was there, I did a multitude of things. I wasn't just working there. So while I was there, I became certified as the Dale Carnegie instructor. I did Dale Carnegie for more than 25 years. While I was there, I started writing for the Winston-Salem Chronicle, the weekly African-American publication here in the community. And then several years later, became a columnist with the Winston-Salem Journal, which is a daily newspaper, which is on the editorial page. So while working at GMAC in Intigon, I was a columnist, starting with one paper, moving over to another, and at the same time was a Dale Carnegie instructor. So all of those balls were moving at the same time. In terms of motivational, inspirational speaking, those types of things, that came as a result of being involved in Amway and drawing circles many moons ago.
Okay. We know about that.
So that started back in the late 70s with a friend of mine, and one of the key parts about being involved in those types of organizations where you have multi-level marketing and you go to these big grand things where they have speakers and they try to encourage and inspire you to go out and draw some more circles and draw some more circles. And, so one of the ways to, it's like a car. If you don't put gas in the car doesn't run. So if you don't put something on the inside of you, you can't run. And so part of the process was about reading books, inspirational books, motivational books, listening to tapes, and going to seminars. And the purpose of that was the more that you have in you on the inside, when something happens, it helps you to pull on something that can help you take that next step. And so I developed a love for reading, specifically motivational, inspirational type books. And so that just became something that I really love doing. I love the authors. I've read a lot of them. And it's something that's in the forefront on a daily basis. The result of that was one day I said I wanted to be a motivational speaker. I didn't go to school for that. No one taught me how to do it.
Right.
There was one particular person that looked like me that was doing what I wanted to do, was not saying anything any different than I was saying. And I'm like, I can do that. And that was Les Weisbeck. As he built himself, he said he was Mary Bryan's beard with this. How he used to build himself. He talks about a break that he had once. He was a disc jockey and someone couldn't come to work and he locked himself in the booth and the rest of it is history.
We know.
He had the opportunity to meet him once when he came in Winston-Salem. I was looking at him saying, he looks like me. He's talking about the same things that I talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it can be done. And so it started with, like anything else, what some people don't understand, I wouldn't say most, is that to become good at something, you just have to continue to do it. And so to some people, it looks like it's easy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It isn't necessarily that it's easy. It's that I've done it more times than you've done it. And so I know something about it. So
Right.
it looks that way because I've gotten up and done it. So the only way that you can swim is you have to jump in the water. You can't do it any other way.
Mm-hmm.
You can read about it, and one can tell you about it, but until you jump in and do it and make some adjustments and get better at it, you can see it get better. And so that led to someone else calling to say, would you do this? And someone else calling. And I'm sure you all realize this as well in terms of relationships. If you do something, as a friend of mine told me years ago, Flash Corcoran, who was a leader at the United Way here and then became the CEO of the YWCA. Mm-hmm. She said, I'm going to place you on this board. And if you show up on time, and if you do a reasonable job, you're going to meet some people. Mm-hmm. What's going to happen is you're going to meet someone who's going to invite you to come over here. And if you show up on time and you do a reasonable good job, you're going to meet some people. Mm-hmm. And those people are going to invite you somewhere else. And what happens is one thing leads to another.
Right.
You get an invitation, you do a strategy session, you do a retreat, you speak someplace, and then someone else calls you and asks you to come over here and speak someplace else. So A short answer to a long story, Charles, is back to what you said at the end. My tagline is encouraging people to succeed, encouraging people and inspiring them. Encouraging them to succeed and inspiring them to act. And so that's a part of my DNA. I wrote a mission statement a number of years ago after reading a book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I don't know about you, it was a long time before I knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. And so part of trying to decide that is, it is a challenge. You have to think about it, you have to be intentional, you have to write it down. So I would start the process of writing down my vision or mission. Then I put it down like, I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I would come back to it and I'd start writing it again. Like, man, this is tough. I just keep doing what I'm doing. One night I finally finished it, I read it. I thought about it, I read it again. I said, okay, this is me. This sounds like me. And I call it my magnificent obsession, which is the title of a book that I read some time ago. And my magnificent obsession is to use my God-given talents to provide for my family.
Okay.
And to help people learn and grow and to enjoy this journey called life. That's me, okay? That's my purpose. Use the tools that God has endowed me with to help my family, to help people, to help them learn and grow, and to enjoy life.
Yes.
Simply put, that's who I am, and so the things that I do are toward that end. It's towards helping people, encouraging people, inspiring people, and whether that's speaking someplace, whether that's conducting a retreat, whether it's facilitating a meeting, whether it's someone calling saying, can you give me some advice for something? In a nutshell, that's who I am, that's my DNA, and those are a few things that I've got.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this now, and I know you mentioned Les Brown. Of course, we've listened to the purchases material, and actually we've listened and watched him over the years, how he's developed, and even the catch. The stories that he's told, we've definitely heard his stories, so we've been inspired by Les Brown as well. Now, on your journey in speaking and inspiring, and with those invitations that continue, basically one after the other, let me ask you about some challenges in those speaking engagements. What was the toughest crowd you had to deal with? Does anything stand out?
I don't know that there is a particular crowd that is difficult. The process, one of the things we used to always say in Dale Carnegie with students when they started is trust the process.
Okay, okay.
Just trust the process. So one thing about, when you're speaking, you have to know who your audience is.
Okay.
And if you don't know your audience, then you'll miss the mark. Now that doesn't mean that you know your audience well and you hit it every time. You don't. You have to make adjustments, etc. So I really haven't had a tough or a difficult audience.
Okay.
There has been a time, for example, to give you one example, I was asked to come and speak to a group of folk. I want to say it was at Goodwill. It was a program that they had. And so part of the process of speaking, if you ask me to speak, I have a questionnaire that I send out. So it's just asking you questions.
Okay.
What is it that you're looking for? What's the outcome? What do you want people to do, think, or say at the end of whatever the presentation is? What's the makeup? Is it young? Is it old? What type of work? Naturally, you're trying to gather some information.
Sure.
To understand who they are. And based on what the person who's asking you to come says, this is what I'm looking for them to do or think or say, then you sort of tailor that to the audience. And then one of the things that I like to do whenever I'm speaking is to get there early and actually mingle with people. And what they don't know is what I'm doing is I'm talking to you.
Okay.
Find out more about you.
Right. Okay.
It's not unusual for me to sit down with you and say, okay, Charles and Melinda, so you know what, you're going to speak today. So what would you say to this group?
Okay. Right.
And I will just listen to you. So where are you from? So what do you do? Normally what I would do is at some point in time doing speaking, I would mention before. I had the opportunity to sit down with Charles and Olivia. And this is what they said they would say to you. Whether it's about connecting with people
Okay. With
and understanding people and relating to people. Now, the challenge that I've had, and you have to be ready to make the adjustments, is that I went into this particular group
right.
based on the person asking me, based on what they told me they wanted me to talk about, based on who they said the people were. When I walked into the group and looked at them, I knew that what I had prepared and what they had told me did not match who I saw.
Okay. Exactly. Right.
So what I had to do was just change the course and move on with something else. I don't remember what it was I did, but
Definitely.
again, it was just a matter of relating to the people and changing it. But you know when you move in, or you're looking at an audience, or you're speaking to them, whether you're connecting with them or not.
Right. Right.
And what I knew in that particular case was, what you asked me to talk about and the focus I'm looking at, they don't go together. This is not going to work. So we have to change course and move with it. So to your point again, I haven't had a difficult audience.
Okay. Right.
Because they have different challenges that you have to make some adjustments with.
Okay. Definitely. All right.
Well, with that too, with the many stories that you have shared and I'm sure have blessed many people across all areas of life, do you have a particular one that a particular story or a particular scenario of when you spoke to a group of people, or just whether it was a small group or a large group, that the conversation resonates to you, that one that you can remember that kind of brings you to tears when you think about it? Do you have any in particular that you could share?
Well, I am a crowd leader, but I can't recall any that actually.
Hey, it was all you too, huh?
Well, I don't know how to admit it. I'm not ashamed of it.
Yes.
I don't know, Linda, anything that brought me to tears. A story. There are so many stories to tell. You know, a story is basically something that is relevant to either what you're doing at the time or a point that you want to make, right? And so, for example, in Dale Carnegie training, when we it used to be a 14-week class, 1 day a week for 14 weeks, then it moved to 12, and then it moved to 8. Each session has a different outcome. That's the purpose of that particular session. And at the end of each session, there was some story that was shared with the participants in the class that was driving home the point of that particular session or something that we did. And so there are times when, and you all have seen this as well, there are times, I can tell and have seen when someone got it and they didn't say anything. I mean, I can recall right now a person, his name was, last name was Tatum. There was a Dale class that I was leading in Greensboro, and I can see it like it was yesterday. Standing in front of the classroom, he was on the last row on the end, and there was a point where you could see a light bulb go off. Yeah, and one part about training or leading or teaching, the magic in it or the satisfaction is knowing that you made the connection. That's the price of admission.
Okay. Right.
When you can see that someone got it, that's like, okay, we did a good job. So it's just a matter of what story you would want me to tell. It's not a particular one that has brought me to tears. I'll share one, for example. I was talking with a friend of mine a couple of nights ago, and I asked him this. So there was a question I asked him, which I often ask when, particularly in a Dale class. And then there was a story that I shared because there was a specific question I asked him. But the question I ask is often, what do you think that someone else has to change in order for things to change? So in other words, it is your fault that this isn't happening. If you would just change, everything would be all right.
Right.
But it's always someone else. And so the question is, how do you need to change in order for things to change? rather than someone else changing, it's about how do you need to change so the environment changes so that things can actually change. And so the story, and what I asked him that particular night, is that you may have heard this before, there was a young man who was walking down the street every day, and every day he gets to a certain corner on the street or the house, and there's a man sitting on the porch, and there's a dog that's always moaning and groaning. And every day he would go by, and the dog would sit there moaning and groaning. So one day he stopped and he said, Mr. Roseboro, every day I come by here, and the dog is sitting on the porch moaning and groaning. What's wrong with the dog? He said he's sitting on a nail. I said, well, why won't he get up? Because it doesn't hurt bad enough. Well, the part is, you'll stay uncomfortable
Yes, sir.
until it hurts bad enough for you to get up, which is something, I asked the friend of mine the other day, you're sitting on the nail, so when it gets uncomfortable, you get up, and you'll go this, and that goes for all of us.
Yes, sir. Right.
We'll continue doing the same thing until
Right.
we feel like we can't do it anymore, and then we'll do something different.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, good analogy. Yeah, I just heard it. Yes,
That
sir.
so many people is in that situation, I think, and they will sit there until it'll kill them, literally. So what makes it, if I can tag onto that, where you feel that if you've ever been in a situation, you've got a person like that, and you know what they're doing is hurting themselves. And you're trying to work with them to help them get from where they are to where they can be, but they just don't get it. And you had a situation where how do you get them there? Or can you get them there?
Here's a situation with that that I've heard talked about in terms of leadership. You cannot push a rope.
Right.
You can pull it, but you can't push it. So what I can do is I can share with you things to do. As an example, there are folk who have called me and say, so-and-so said to give you a call and you could help me out. Now, based on who they reference, I'm going to take the call because I know that person and that person will not have told them to call me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I welcome you to come over and we'll sit down and we'll talk. And I'll listen to you what is it that you want to do. And what I will do is remind you at some point in time, now remember, you came to see me.
Right.
I didn't call you.
Yes. Right.
You asked me my opinion, so I'm going to share it with you. Now here's the deal. This is what I'm going to have you to do. I want you to read this book. And I want you to do this. And the reason I do that or give that assignment is to see whether you will follow through to do it. There's another story. You get me started talking about stories, so we'll be here for quite some period of time.
Okay.
There's another story, and I've been in a situation where I've been lost. And I'm trying to find my way someplace, and you stop and ask somebody how to get there. And so this person was lost. He pulled over on the side of the road. He asked the farmer. He said, I'm lost, and I'm trying to get to X. He said, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go this way and turn this way and do this and do this. The man did exactly what he was told to do, and he ended up at the same place he was, at the same spot where the man was. Mm-hmm. And he asked the man, said, I told you I was lost, and I asked you how to get there, and I end up at the same place where I started. He said, well, first I wanted to see whether you followed direction. And now that I know that you follow direction, I give you instructions. Well, there are instructions and they'll follow directions. And so out of doing that is to see whether the person's really serious about what they want to do. If they do it and come back, we're tough. If they don't do it, I don't have the time to waste with you. So there's a point where you have to realize you can't do it for them.
Right. Exactly.
Only they can do it. When I went through the process of becoming a Dale Carnegie trainer, it's about a 2-year process. I went through the course in 1989. You have to be a graduate assistant for at least a couple of years, and a grad assistant basically is just helping the instructor. Right. You have paperwork you're doing on the back. You have to get sample talks. some things you do just to help the instructor to conduct the class. And then if you're invited to become an instructor, you have to go through this training. And once you go through the training, and then you have to be certified. You have to do the equivalent of what would be practice teaching. You have to instruct a course with a certified instructor there who's giving you feedback. And then once you do that, you can actually lead classes on your own. So it takes about a 2-year process.
Okay.
But when I started the process and got all of the information that we need to do, you know, it's based on Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and How to Win Friends and Influence People, that 31 principles. You need to know all 31. You know, the first 9 are about being a friendlier person. The next set is about how do you get win-win. The last 9 are about leadership. But you have to know them. You have to understand what they are. You have to know the configuration of the class for each class. You need to know how to put people in small groups and large groups. You need to know how to listen and coach. It was overwhelming. And so right before I was supposed to start, I called the person who was my mentor in Carnegie at the time. She was actually the person that sold me the course when I got started with it. And I said to her, basically I was quitting because there was a fear of failure. That was the issue. I didn't want to fail. And there was so much information that felt like you're drinking out of a water hydrant. And Liz asked me some very simple questions. Do you want to do it? Yes. And I listened, and she said, okay, here's what you need to do. This is gonna happen over this 2-week period of time. You're gonna go in on Friday, and this is gonna happen on Friday. You're gonna come home on Friday night about 1 o'clock, get you something to eat, and this is what's gonna happen on Saturday. At the end of Saturday, you're gonna come home and about 12 o'clock, get you something to eat. You're coming back on Sunday, and this is what's gonna happen on Sunday. You don't come back for the next week. I did exactly what she told me to do. And the result of that was doing that for about 25 years. And so one is asking people the right question, and then providing them with the information and steps to make it manageable for them to do. What she said was, she didn't scream. She didn't say, you can't quit. She said, do you want to do it? And then she said, this is what you need to do.
Yeah. Wow.
You don't do it in 3 weeks. You do it tomorrow. And then when you finish with tomorrow, you do it tomorrow. And then when you finish with tomorrow, you do it tomorrow. And then you finish with that, you don't come back for 5 more tomorrows, and you start over again. So it's challenging and inspiring people by asking them the right question, and then giving it to them in bite-sized pieces so it doesn't feel overwhelming, so they can have those little successes. And as you add those, you can take the next step. When you started the podcast, I'm sure it wasn't easy. It wasn't as easy then as it is now. So what may look easy to others is a repetition.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only difference. You've done it enough that you know what to do, you know how to do it, you know how to listen, you know how to ask questions, and you know how to keep it going on. But that takes a process and a period of time to get to that particular point to be very proficient at that.
Yes, yeah.
That's no. So I was going to ask you a question concerning 5 habits or tips you can drop, and you just dropped some things here along those lines without me asking. So it's like you've gone through this process a few times, and you're dropping gems that we're going to ask you to drop. But I know you mentioned the Stephen Covey's book. I think you mentioned. Is it 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Is that the way the title reads? Okay, if you can though, like I say, if you can drop 5 habits that we can take up, share that can help us to get to the next level. These things, if we are, just like you said, you would ask the question, do you want to do it? That's the thing. So can you drop 5 gems for us that want to do this thing that we can go to the next one.
To our partner.
Yes, sir. And that's what I mean, to the audience. Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
Hey, you asked me for 5 things.
Yes, sir. If you had to boil down 5, if you want to do bonuses, give us extra gems, all the more we're delighted, sir. Go ahead.
Gonna make me light my cigar back up.
Please, you be comfortable.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see if we can come up with 5 things. There's so many things for us to do. One is to have confidence in yourself, right?
Okay.
Confidence in yourself and what your dream is. I didn't realize this when I first started working for Intergon. I was an underwriter. I was a management trainee for a year. And then I was in a life insurance company as an underwriter. And basically that's sitting behind a cubicle, reviewing applications for life insurance and making decisions about whether to approve or not approve and how much you get. There was a person there, and I don't know what he observed in me, because I really didn't have a lot of interaction with him, but his observation was he was surprised that I was still doing that because there was something to him that suggested I needed to be out and about. I am a social person, even though the majority of the time, most people will think I am an extrovert. I'm not an introvert, but what I like to do is listen and observe and just pay attention. And I can connect with people. That is just an ability in terms of connecting and being social and talking to people and developing relationships over a period of time. And he made a comment to me about, I'm surprised you're doing this. I would thought you'd be doing X. In other words, something to get you out more.
Right.
And years later, when I took another position as Employee Community Relations Director for Intergon, it clicked and I understood what that meant because that felt like someone put a glove on my hand that fit. I was doing what I love to do. I was out and about, I was connecting with people, I was talking to people, I was serving on boards and commissions, I was engaged, and that is who I am. And so one of the things to both of you is just figuring out who you are and what is it that you enjoy doing. And there are multiple things that you can do to do that, to make money. Now you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
Yes,
and
sir.
so you,
Right.
you have to understand that, but understanding who you are, sometimes it takes some time to figure that out.
Right.
What do you like? What do you need to plant yourself in order for yourself to grow?
Right.
What soil do you need to put yourself in? What culture do you need to be a part of so you can flourish? In 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the things he talks about is beginning with the end in mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the end? Where do you want to go? If you're going to take a trip tomorrow, you just don't get in the car and start driving. What you do is you decide, I'm going to New York.
Right.
That's the end. And then you develop the route to get to the destination that you want to go to.
Okay. Right.
Where do you want to go? A boss asked me, Bob Gerard, who is now passed, is my first manager at Intergon. And as a young person, coming out of college when you think you know everything, what I knew is I wanted to be a supervisor or manager. What does that mean?
Right.
You don't even have the experience. You don't even know what you're doing. So every time a job was posted means they put up something new, and if you wanted to apply for it, you could. If they're a supervisor, I applied. Well, I never got an interview. Why didn't I get an interview? Because I didn't have the experience. And I remember him calling me in saying, are you in here? Well, no. Well, you continue to apply for these jobs, and I find out that you're applying, so he asked an important question. What do you want to do? I really didn't know at that time. I just wanted to be this title. A title is not who you are.
Right. Exactly.
That just represents your position, sir. Having confidence in yourself, knowing who you are and what that means and where you can plant yourself so that you can grow, and where do you want to go? One of the things that I'm learning now, as I will soon be 74, is to be in the present. We live somewhere beyond the present all the time, and we miss what's happening in the present. You know? This is the present on the podcast. Now, if I'm here talking to you, but thinking about the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to miss what's going on right now.
Right.
So, focusing on Carnegie, what we would say, live in day-type compartments. Live in the present. Do all that you can do right now, and keep your head down and keep working at that. Let's kind of say one day you'll wake up and you'll be one of the great ones. Another habit, I think it was, his name was Charlie something. He was an author and motivational speaker, and he said that we will be the same person 5 years from now that we are today, except for the people that we meet,
Right.
the books that we read, and exposure or travel.
Okay. I've heard
So, if you don't expose yourself, if you don't meet new people, and if you don't read, 5 years from now, then you may be satisfied with who you are now. You will be the same person 5 years from now that you currently are right now because you aren't growing. You are getting out of your comfort zone. You aren't adding new knowledge and information. You aren't being challenged. You aren't being exposed. The first time my wife and I went to Europe years ago, her school used to travel all the time. It was like someone just opened up a new window and there was a new world. You know, when I'm standing in front of a building that has doors that are older than America, it was mind-blowing. These doors are cool. You know, we're a teenager compared to these doors going up and up. So exposure opens up your mind. It helps to bring in things and ideas and perspectives that you might not think about. And all of us have blind spots. And sometimes we need people to help us or to pull our coattails to tell us. There's an old Chinese proverb, and the proverb is, to know the road ahead, ask someone coming back. You want to know what's up the street, ask me. I just came that way.
Okay, exactly. Right.
Now, if I tell you there's a pothole up the street, you shouldn't go that way.
Right.
Unless you just want to run into that pothole. So I don't know how many things that equates to, Charles, or habit. There are things to do. It's knowing yourself. It's understanding where you ought to be planted. It's beginning with the end in mind. It's about exposure. It's about relationships. It's about reading. And if you aren't reading, you aren't growing. And if you are growing, you're stagnant. If you're stagnant, people are getting ahead of you.
Yes, sir. Definitely. Right. And what you said here about the road ahead. I just had a conversation with my 95-year-old father just a little more than a week ago. And the thing about it, and I was just telling him, I said, Dad, we can prevent the people behind us from bumping their heads or running into brick walls by sharing the experiences that we had, and just to kind of deter them from repeating the same, bad examples over and over. And my father sort of disagreed to a degree. He's saying, no, I think everybody ought to have their own experience. Let them have theirs. And I say, but Dad, it's like if we do that, then it's like everybody is starting over. And we're not taking any tribal knowledge to get ahead. And that's what we ought to do for the next generation.
Yeah.
And so we had that little discussion. But what you're saying just put me on the same thing that I had voiced, to my father. Because, again, I called him in my 40s. It's going through things. We raising our kids, and I'm at home, and I call my dad. I say, hey, man, why didn't you tell me this? But I said, and he said, what? He said, because nobody told me. I said, but
Well, I would suggest to you
go ahead.
that there are things that your father told you to do that you did not do.
Yes,
That later,
Yes, sir.
I would suggest that he did do some of those things.
Oh, absolutely.
But until you are ready,
Right.
and you actually understand it. I had a cousin. I don't know how. Her name was Bessie Craig. She was much older, but and we called her our cousin. I don't know if we were related to her or not. But when they work in the summer, we had to stay over there during the course of the day. And I remember Bessie used to always say this to me. She said, birds of a feather flock together.
Yes.
Always said that. But I did not understand that. I thought, why you keep telling me that? And then one day, I mean, the magic about this, and most of you all can attest to this, someone has told you something
Yes, sir.
that you did not understand.
Right. But now,
And one day, it could have been 5 years later, 15. One day, a light bulb went off and went, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I must admit that I had called my father doing that same thing. Say, hey, Dad, now I see what you were talking about back then. So you definitely right.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
Yeah.
There's some things that my father told me that had I done then,
Yes, right.
I would be at a different place now.
Right.
Now, what I had to do is I had to do these things to go, I see what you were talking about now.
Yes.
I would not listen to you. But I still would have got on the fast track that I done was.
right. Yeah.
So,
So as we get ready, we're going to switch over to getting to know you and Mrs. Alston a little bit in regard to marriage and relationships. But my last question in regards to career path and life lessons, what could you say, because this generation is so different, right? That's how I'm going to say it. Generation is so different. What could you say to someone that may be listening? Because we try to reach those that are in the path of understanding their foundational relationships, understanding who they are, and respecting themselves and having some value to themselves in order to incorporate that with somebody else. So getting an understanding of what they need to do to get their self together. What can you tell them? What can you tell a listener right now that may be sitting in that space that can help them move along to a better space of opportunity in this generation of time right now?
Well, I think you can. In what ways can you help them? I mean, your generation is different than the generation before you. Their generation is different than the generation before them, and each of us during our time did some things somewhat different than our mothers and fathers did, or as their mothers and fathers did. And what we share with you is what we know. So if you're talking to me or some of my friends, we're going to tell you about what happened to us when I was a boy.
right.
My granddaddy told me to go get a switch and plait it up, and if you don't get one big enough, I'm going to go get it myself. That doesn't really happen now, but there's some fundamental truths or things that just make sense regardless of the generation. Relationships matter, right? Relationships matter. Developing relationships, and relationships to me are a function of time and contact. The more time I have with you over time, we will have a relationship. Now, the quality of it is dependent upon what we do in the time that we spend together. It isn't an accident that we are talking today. Right? It's been 15 years ago that we worked together at Winston-Salem State University.
Yes, sir.
Right? So it's a function of a relationship over a period of time that leads to this particular point. And those relationships can carry you a long way. They are connections to whatever the next thing is. They are connections to another person who may have an opportunity that you don't know about. They are connections to a mentorship or someone who may be able to guide you to do the next thing. So there's another term that Earl Taylor, who was the franchise owner for Carnegie, used all the time that I like, and the phrase is exemplum docet. Exemplum docet, and what that means is that the example teaches. and it is the only thing it does. And so part of helping is just teaching people through example. And leading through example. You know, you've heard someone say that what you do speaks so loudly, I don't hear what you say.
Yes, definitely. Right.
Yeah. When your words and your actions are not aligned or not congruent, they don't penetrate. And so how can you be, how can you demonstrate through your behavior and through your support the values that the person can carry with them, knowing that this time is different? They don't stay at jobs 25 and 30 years. That's non-existent. It might be here today and it'll be somewhere else tomorrow. Yes, sir. I have a reservation about moving. Or about taking chances, or about going. Those aren't bad things. But there are some fundamental things that if you do those things, and trust the process can lead you to whatever the next thing is. So providing support, listening, trying to understand, demonstrating to them the things that ought to be done, continuing to ask questions. You know, part of teaching and helping people is not telling them. It is about asking the right questions that leads them to find the answers. And so rather than telling someone all the time is what question can you ask to help them uncover or discover what thing they might do, and then encouraging them as they continue to do those things.
Yes, you love that.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely love that. Yeah, so people take heed to that. Take heed to what this man is saying. It's powerful even for us in our generation now.
And we better take heed. As
We take heed. We take the heed. I done taken heed from you 15 years ago. I've always been impressed, and it's always impressed upon me from what I learned from you in the professional realm and how to make sure that we do things with integrity. You know, even though, you know, I had that a little bit from our own business that we had, but it really instilled us to be better and
Yes.
building those relationships that you incorporated with us and me and my husband. So we're going to shift a little bit as we kind of move along on this. And what do you have?
Okay.
Okay.
I was getting on a lighter note. Mr. Alston, the Kango brand has been with you for a number of years, sir. You know, how many years? We just hop over. Because I remember back in the day, I've watched you, some of the games, you know, and you would have the Kango. How many years you say you've been true to the brand?
Oh, man, I can't even tell you like cap and shit and
That's right. Yeah, that's been you. That's you. I know as long as I've known, you know, and even seeing you at some of the games, I know I've gone to, and I see you and your wife there, and then there's the Kango.
Love it. I love it.
Definitely. All right. So, all right, we'll make that shift, right?
Yeah. So knowing that you say you've been married 50
40.
We've been together at 55. We've been married
Oh, okay.
40 this December.
40.
Right.
Yes, 48.
So, 7 years of courtship.
So we met our freshman year in college at Livingstone College in the fall of 1970.
Okay.
And so we started the dinner at that time. We were engaged our junior year in college. We graduated in 1974. Did not plan on coming back home. Home is Winston-Salem. I got a job here, came back to start. So with the teacher, she got her first job in Greenville, South Carolina. So for the next 3.5 years, she lived in Greenville, I lived here. And so we would visit once or twice a month. Once a month, she'd drive up here and hang out. And 3 times a month, I'd drive down the Gap, drive down to Greenville and hang out. We got married in 77, and for the next 3.5 years, while married, we lived apart. So she lived out Greenville.
Oh, man.
She would have been Greenville, and I lived here. She was unable to get a teaching job here, and so the plan was when we got married December, in the summer you look for a job here, and she couldn't find one. She went back, and that went on for 3.5 years, and then finally was like, either you need to move here or I need to find after this. The truck driving down here 3 hours. Coming up here on it, you move in the summer, it's getting tired. And so in 81, I think it was, she finally moved up here, and some things worked out. About a year later, and she started teaching in the system here. So yeah, we were together for 7 years before we married.
Right.
And then lived apart for 3 years, the first 3 years, 3.5 years that we were married. So
Wow.
Wow, you know, we
That's
have some
like
things in common.
very
But
similar.
didn't even realize,
Yeah.
right? So we dated for 7 years.
7 years before we got married. And the thing about it, and then we've lived apart for 3.5 years as well. When I moved to Charleston, she was still in
I'm still in
Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem with
Oh, Lord.
and in Charleston. So
Yeah.
it's
That's why it's really music. You get on to hear that. And
So as people, married couples who have gone through things like that, that's kind of what we share with the couples out here. Kind of, it's not the most recommendable remedy for, especially for some of the thought processes of marriages for some of the young people today. But what was the hardest thing for you all, especially in your new, you all just got married, right? And dealing with something like that. Can you share any of your challenges and how you got through it and what made you want to stay? And what made her want to stay?
she have to answer that.
But they answer that one, but
well, I'll put it to you. I'll put it to you simpler. So the name of your podcast is Keeping It Real,
that's right.
right?
That's right.
Okay, so we'll just keep it real. So
Please.
one, we've known each other for a long time. Been together. We've known each other for 55 years. So we have grown up together. We met as freshmen, and now 55 years later, we're still together. Two things about us. People ask about how do you. Well, let me back up a second. So I heard a gentleman, and it was at Winston-Salem State. It was some function down at the Anderson Center one day, and there was an older gentleman at that time, and he was speaking, and he was, whatever it was he was talking about and giving credit to or talking about his wife. He talked to the men and he said, there are 2 questions that you have to ask yourself. And how you answer the question is going to dictate this relationship. And he said, the question is, do you want to be happy or right? Never forget those things. That is, you want to be happy right now. I want to be right sometimes, but I know that in being right, there are some consequences. But I'm right this time. But really, what I would say to you is, Sarah around here, I think that she would say the same thing. One is we like each other. That's number one. And we love each other.
Right.
That's number 2. Now, what does that mean? We're all human beings. There are always going to be disagreements. There are going to always be things. We don't have arguments. What I say is we have, or shouting sessions, we just have those explanation sessions where one person may be louder than the other.
I like that. Okay.
So explanation session. Well, I like my wife, and I love my wife. And I think that if she were here, she would say the same thing. And when we got married on December 17th, 1977, in Mount Tabor Baptist Church down in the country, in a real small Baptist church, we took some vows that were similar to, I'm sure, the vows you took. And it said, to honor and obey. And it talks about to death do us part.
Yes.
It talks about in health and in sickness. It talks about richer and poor. What that talks about is actually our commitment.
Exactly.
And too many people aren't committed. So when the first thing happens,
Right. That's it.
gotta go and gotta go find something else. And so when you are committed, even though it is challenging, you find ways to get through it. Sarah has, as I shared with you all, and unfortunately couldn't make the the last event. It was just one of those days, and I actually could have made it, but it just wouldn't have been good because I wasn't in the right. This is the time. She's been dealing with chronic pain for 10 years now. October 1st will be 10 years. We've been everywhere, we've seen everyone, and to date, nothing has effectively worked, and it is a challenge every day. Caregiving is a challenge.
Yes, sir. Right.
The easy thing you could do is walk away and do something else. And when you're committed, even though it's challenging, even though there are some difficult days, even though that means that things that we can't do that we used to do and that we want to do, you do them because you say it. In sickness and in health,
Yes, sir.
in richer or poor,
Right.
the death do us part. And that is a commitment. So we have been committed. We have never, when we got married, we didn't have someone to pay for our wedding. We saved our own money.
Right.
When it was time to get married. We went on a honeymoon in Atlanta. That, again, I was working at Pentagon. I was an underwriter. I had a particular territory and agents I dealt with. They actually paid for the hotel rooms for us in Atlanta when we stayed down there. We had our reception in the basement of a savings and loan in downtown Gaston. My mother-in-law, whom I love dearly, and I know who loved me, prepared the food and cooked the cake. We paid for our own invitations. We haven't been one to let other people come in to dictate what we're going to do, and we've never tried to follow somebody else on what they were doing. This is what we like to do. This is what we're going to do. This is how I treat you.
Right.
This is how you treat me, and it has nothing to do with how Charles treats Melinda. Maybe he gave her a leather coat. I don't have a leather coat, man. I got leather coat, man.
Yes. Yeah, we're giving like hair.
So commitment, but key to it is that we like each other and we love each other. And the result of that is there are things that even though we may not agree with or we have those explanation sessions, that keeps you going.
But I love that explanation discussions. I'm going to use that.
Gonna make you stop saying some of the things you've been saying, man.
You know what?
Us, rather, no. No, I tell you, no, what I'm saying in that, no, I'm going to clarify what I'm saying. Because we say to folk that sometimes we don't like each other, but we definitely love each other. And we go into those unlikable moments, and we'll tell each other right now, I'm not liking you right this minute, but I still love you now. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. But I appreciate that.
I like that concept.
I appreciate that. Definitely.
But like I say, some strategy, you throwing out some strategies,
Right.
even for us to use.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're never too old in marriage to build in and bring in strategies from the wise and from those that we can benefit from. So
Right.
I like that. So I'm going to use that. So
Yeah, and what it isn't so much that we don't like each other at times. What we don't like is the behavior that's exhibited at the time. And so if you can focus on, if you can separate the person from the behavior and deal with that, there's something different that you can get through. This behavior I don't like.
Is it?
Mad at you. What I'm upset about is that you aren't doing this. This can help you at this particular time, and that can be confusing at times. And then we have, during the time that we were dating, the 3 years after we graduated, before we got married, the 3.5 years after we got married, we always communicated. So there wasn't a time, we had a routine. We always stopped on Wednesday. All right, we always saw each other on the weekend. 3 weekends out of the month, I was in South Carolina. 1 weekend out of the month, you were here. When school was out, for the summer, she was here, and then it was back. But that was the routine all of the time in terms of staying in touch and communicating, even though we weren't in the same place for a long period of time.
And that's the purity of any relationship. When you have those consistent routines that you do in a marriage. You know, we also have our routine, and to yet your explanation too. We say we have said I don't like him. I don't like her. But to your clarification,
Exactly. The point.
you know, the point is what you said. I don't like
The behavior.
the behavior.
Yes.
I don't like how you expressed certain things. So that's where we have to make sure that we have to bring that in too. You know, because we can hold in things that cultivates a whole different attitude that is not warranted for a relationship of survival. So that is very imperative too of what you said. Did you happen?
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, definitely. I would say good pointers for us to kind of
Yeah.
restructure and think about it, definitely. So we are there. So knowing that seasons change, as we say in marriage, um, people change as well. What has been one of the most surprising changes that you've seen in your marriage with your wife that you can share?
Surprising changes. Well, Sarah's always been crazy, so that's up and say whole lot too. With an older version that's PCUS when I get her.
Okay.
She just ain't gonna let you upon us changes. Not quite there yet. We got fewer tomorrows than we had yesterday.
Right.
And so, just like the seasons change, that's just part of life. That's part of the life experience. It's part of something that sometimes is difficult to accept, but that's what it is. Your steps are not as fast as what they used to be. I'm
Sure.
football in high school and played football in college, and as we would say back in that time, I was agile, mobile, and hostile. I'm not as agile, not as mobile. I may be more hostile at that time, but I'm definitely not agile and mobile. So I think what's changed is it's like cooking, which is something I've taken up now in the last 3 months or so with just teaching myself how to do it and finding some recipes and following some people on Instagram. And, you try it and they likes it and I think it was good. It's like, okay, and it gives me something to do. But part of that process are the ingredients that come together and how they merge together and how they marinate together and how that season over time brings a different kind of flavor or taste to you. And so, Sarah is 73 now. I'll be 74 in November. We're 6 months apart. And so it's been a lifetime of having a good time, doing some traveling, going some places, and now unable to do some of those things and the because is some health reasons prevent us from doing it. She is challenged because she feels bad that there are things that I love to do that I can't do. And she thinks it's her fault. It's not her fault. This is what it is. It's an easy decision. Right when I called you, all I was sorry I had to do it, but that was a decision.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And we respect that, brother. Because like I told you, I'm sorry. I know I'm interrupting, but I told you, you were where you were supposed to be. Trust me. And we understand. Yes, sir.
And that's part of my point is, you have to understand what you value. And the value is, this is what I need to do now. What that prevents me from doing is something else that I want to do that I enjoy doing. So that's part of the season that both of us are in at this time, and it's something that you have to accept. You might not want to. Yes, all the things I want to do, yes. I can't just actually get up. I can do it, but it means a whole lot of other things would have to happen for me to do it. It's not that I can't get up and go to the lounge and smoke a cigar, or I can't get up and go out and do this. But to feel that, I have to do a whole lot of other things to get in place to make sure she's okay in order to do that. And so that is a change, and that just comes with life. It impacts some people more than it impacts others. Others endure a lifetime and it never happens, and some, you go through it and it does happen. I was in our cigar group, we started a Bible study that we have online, like we're doing here now, usually on Saturday. And we had it last Friday night, and there was a particular passage, I want to say it was in James, I can't remember what verse, and it really resonated with me right now just because of what's going on, but it talked about the fact that perseverance was important. And, and what it said is that all things are a test. And the test is that you persevere, and you persevere because of your faith. And so the test is whether you're going to have the faith to actually stick with it to get through it. And so you just have to, and that resonated with me at that time because there are days when it's like, okay, I know you've heard this, and I've heard it many times, that the Lord won't give you more than you can handle. Now, I have said, show me where that is. I believe that's true, but I'm not quite sure. I need to see it someplace.
It's worded a little different, but you know how it does come around, and we've heard it so much. And just for this kind of follows up my last question, actually, where I have, and you expounded on it perfectly, where we talk about compromise, and that, with Charles and I, we had decided, because this is the first time that we have lived close to family ever in our marriage. And we had decided that outside interferences will not interfere with our relationship. And I love our families. We love our families. But there's the certain things that we was not going to compromise on. Now, there was some challenges moving closer now, because we're closer to his family, like 10, 15 miles away, which, are we close
to you?
Oh, well,
Young man, they're closer.
even closer, because in the building of the house that we have here, we have an in-law suite. So where my mom lives as my grandson say, on the other side of town. So being a little closer, but even with that, and because we had that as a tight resolution for us. Yeah, even with my mom living on the other side of town close, and his parents, we still won't compromise what our relationship means. We will not let outside interferences, interfere or cause issues with our marriage. And from what I hear, the compromise and what makes you all stay together and keep what you have, that there's no compromise in your commitment and what you have with each other, for better or worse, for sickness and health and things like that, because we all know that some tolerance and inability to wait in some of these people that get married, they don't stick around. The finances get low, somebody gets sick, or even the death of a loved one, somebody may bounce. But I love to hear that your commitment together was not a compromise when it came to, I may want to do this, or yes, I may want to go out here, but my commitment is with my companion. And that is what we love so much about sharing in our journey.
And that shows an unconditional, love, with that. So I want to say hats off to you, because that's one of the things we want to present to our audience as well, is that, the saying was back in the day, I'm with you through thick and thin. Remember that one? Once things get thick, I'm thinning out. but we talk about thick and thin, we going through, and that really says a lot. Just listening to you, you say that. And we talked, our next podcast, we talked about missing the water when the well runs dry. So some of the old cliches that we've heard over the years, and in that is showing appreciation for each other while we have each other. And I asked the question too, if you were to wake up in the morning and your loved one, a significant other, had gone through the night, are there any regrets? That's what we ask our audience. And the reason we say that, and I'm sorry to think about it, we had a podcast that we did. This brother, actually, he's 40 years old, and he shared some things about losing his wife last year after being married 13 years. And as he sit here and we talk, that man said, I have no regrets. He said, because my wife and I, we demonstrated love every day. And he said, we never stopped that. He said, do I cry? Yes, I do. But I cry with joy. He say, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, Lord.
And he said,
I
I
said,
love
brother,
being married.
I love being a husband. I love being married.
40 years old.
And when his wife got sick, she felt bad for him. And I'm sitting listening to this and I said, oh my Lord. And man, it just shows the unconditional love that we as men and women ought to demonstrate. And to hear you say, hey man, my hat's off to you, Mr. Alston. Really, I do. Because that's what God wants us to do and be for each other, even in sickness and in health. Definitely. So I appreciate it.
Well, a friend of mine said something, a cigar friend, some time ago, and I put it in the context of telling you this short story. Sarah, this is probably been, as I say, this has been going on for about 10 years now. And so when it started, they were treating one thing and they treated it for a number of years and then found out it was something else, right? And so they gave us a new treatment. And one day she stood up, we were in our den, in the great room, as a matter of fact, and she just dropped. And I happened to be behind her, and both of us fell on the floor. And I literally thought she had died. She was on the floor, unresponsive, and her eyes just looking back. And I'm slapping her in the face, and I'm screaming, and I'm trying to get up. And what had happened was she stood up too fast, and her blood pressure dropped, and they'd given her too much medication. That's what had happened.
Okay.
But to your point, it makes you, and the days, every night when I go to sleep, I pray for patience, and every morning I lose it again. Your podcast is just keeping it real. What I'm doing is keeping it real with you.
Yes, sir. Right.
And I'm telling you what actually is happening versus what you want to see.
Yes. Right.
And so what I realized is something that Lou said one day, you don't have to do what you're doing with Melinda. Melinda doesn't have to do what she's doing with you. Nor do I with Sarah or Sarah with me.
Right. Yes.
I get to do this with her. If you wake up, you get to do this again.
Yes. Right.
And that is a blessing in of itself to get to do it. Every day is a challenge, but we got to see another day.
Yes, sir. Right.
It's been hard all day, but we get to see another day.
Yes, sir.
Get to. I don't have to do it. I don't have to do these things.
Right.
I can get someone else to, well, you can put me in the home or put me, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't think about doing it.
Right.
Nobody can do it the way that I can do it. I wouldn't want someone else to do it unless it's something that we absolutely had to do. And there was no choice to do it. So to those that are in relationships, it's not about having to, it's about getting to. I have washed more dishes and folded more clothes and washed more clothes and cooked more food in the past 6 months than I have in my lifetime. I remember my wife, I remember when Sarah used to say, I have to do everything. You don't do anything. She gets screaming and fussing. I'm like, I just got home from work. Just give me a minute. When you gonna take the trash out? And there it is. I don't want dishes to be dirty and sneaky before I go to bed. I make sure they clean. I wash them several times a day. 2 or 3 days, I wash the clothes. I fold the clothes. Because I get to do it.
Yes, sir.
Because she's unable to do it. And that's that's a part of this thing that we call a partnership or a union. It says that we come together as one, and there shouldn't be anyone else to interfere with that. And we have not allowed anyone to do that. We don't care what other people, we're happy for you. That's what you want to do, you do it. Because what we do.
Right, right. Yeah, Ms. Alston, I'm going to say this, is that you answered my next question before I asked it, sir. Because I was going to ask you, what was the thing that you all didn't sacrifice or you didn't compromise in the marriage? And you just named that. Yeah, and I appreciate that. So, you
Yeah, go.
Yes, sir.
As I said, I'm kind of slowing down on that. But as we said in regards to business, for this generation as well as the older generation, and it's for all of us, what can you part with us in words of wisdom as it pertains to marriage and commitment?
What can I part with you? I like my wife, and I love my wife. I just keep it mentioned. There's an old thing. It's called the KISS method. Keep it simple and stupid. Right? You just keep it to the point. What do you enjoy doing with the person? You should be aligned with someone that you're equally yoked with. That doesn't mean that you don't have differences, that you don't have likes or interests that are divergent from each other, but you ought to like to do some things that are common to both of you. You ought to enjoy doing some things that are common to both of you, even though you might have some different interests. You ought to enjoy being around the people that you're around or doing the things that you do. Those are the things, the glue that holds you together. And the key part, as I shared earlier with the both of you, is that the commitment. Are you fully committed? There's an old saying about a chicken and a hog. The hog says to the chicken is that you're not fully committed. The hog lays it down, you eat all of it. The chicken just lays the egg and you just keep, are you committed? Regardless of what comes at you, regardless of what the experience is, to manage through that, to get to the next point so you continue to go on. Life is going to be difficult. There's a book that was written by Scott Peck many, many, many years ago. The word less traveled. And in the first paragraph, in the first sentence of the first paragraph of the book, the sentence is, life is difficult. And his point was, once you understand that, then it isn't.
Right.
No one said that it was going to be easy. Right. No one said it was going to be rosy every day that you wake up. No one said there's going to be a path made to go. You don't have to worry about anything. And everything's going to be rosy. You're going to get everything you want, make your 6 figures and get your big house and travel all around. No one ever said that was going to happen. Right. You have to get up and you have to work for it. And you have to make it happen. Right. And you have to understand that there are things that are going to happen. And one of the ways, as I mentioned earlier, that you manage through that is that you have to put something in. You don't put something in here and put something in here, then it's going to be challenging for you. It's going to be difficult for you to make it. You don't feed yourself so that you have something in reserve when something happens. It's going to be a headache for you. And that doesn't mean all of us have had challenges. You all have had it. We've had it. Everyone has had it. Right. What separates them from other people is they had something to draw on to be able to continue to keep taking the next step until things got better.
Yes. So that's a whole plethora of information for all of us. And two, I can not we cannot express how grateful we are to have been able to connect, and everything is by divine intervention. And I do believe that, 15 plus years ago, it was meant for us to meet. And I mean, even though before you came to Winston-Salem State, I had heard of you before, I was always impressed by that voice. You know, it was like, it spoke power to us. It spoke attention, you know. And when I got the opportunity to be under your leadership, you know, it was empowering. And to this day, you know, as long as God give us life, we would love to make sure that we wanted to keep in touch and hear with the words of wisdoms that you have. And as like we say, we on this podcast, we do keep it real. Sometimes he says some stuff, I just be like, what in the world?
I wasn't out of pocket any of that.
No, he wasn't out of pocket.
Yeah, I was good. I listen because I'm listening to wisdom today, and you know tonight. So that's my thing. So with that, I do appreciate all the gems that you've dropped, and I guess the final question is that when you pour so much into other people, where do you go to be recharged?
Very good question, Charles. Where do you go? I mentioned to a friend of mine the other night is where do you go when you're the all-you-can-eat buffet? Right. When everybody comes in all the food, where do you go? Aligned, probably, it might have been in the first 3 years of Sarah and I were married. I grew up in St. James AME Church here in Winston-Salem. I mean, when I graduated from college, the minister there made me an officer. I was on the steward board. I was one of those fair-weather church guys. I grew up in the church. My grandfather was a steward at the church. I was with him all the time from a little boy doing all kinds of things. My father was an officer of the church. Their name is, both of them on the cornerstone of that church now at St. James as officers. And so I learned a lot there. But what I had up until a certain point, which probably would have been 1979 or 1980s, I had my grandmother's and grandfather's religion. I went because they took me.
Right.
My mother and father didn't always go to church. My granddaddy came and picked us up every Sunday. And then he'd go back home and pick up my grandmother after he taught Sunday school and come back. And then I stayed with him all day while he counted the 5 quarters and 2 pennies. And then we went home. But I had their religion. And so it was one day, he said, what makes you cry? So this might, because it always does. I was in vacation Bible school, and so my pattern was this. I was an officer. I thought I knew what I was doing. You're a young whippersnapper. You just graduated from college. You think you know something. I'm with the people who knew me before I was born as officers. I came to church. I didn't go to Sunday school. I put my nickel and dime in the election plate. When they opened the doors to the church, I was on the way out so I could go watch football. The name of your podcast is Just Keeping It Real.
Please do.
I'm just telling you what it is. We had vacation Bible school, and the adult class was in the foyer of the church. Ward Miller, who was a friend and a member of the church and an officer, was teaching the class. Ward is now deceased. He was killed, unfortunately, in an automobile accident a few years ago. I don't remember what the lesson was. I can't tell you what the scripture was. But what I can tell you is that everything he said that evening, I kept saying to myself, why are you talking about me like this? He didn't use my name. And it felt like there was a spotlight on me that everything he talked about was directed at me. When I knocked out after that, the following Sunday, I was in Sunday school. And eventually, I was a Sunday school teacher. I didn't ask to be a Sunday school teacher. And eventually, I was a Sunday school superintendent. I didn't ask to be a Sunday school superintendent. And I found myself doing the same thing that my granddaddy did. My granddaddy was a Sunday school teacher. He was a Sunday school superintendent. He was a steward in the church. So to answer your question is, where you go is you go to the source.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And what it says in the scripture is to renew a right spirit within me,
Yes, right.
to transform your mind.
Right.
In the Psalms, and I forget which one it is now, one of the particular ones that I love, Asaph said, I almost fell until I went into the sanctuary. I almost.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I went into the sanctuary, something changed.
Mm-hmm.
So staying connected to the source
Yes, sir.
is a thing that's renewable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to pay a bill for it. We get unmerited favor.
Yes.
It renews day by day. You know, we're blessed to have the opportunity. Even with the challenges, you know, you pray and you ask for certain things, and knowing that you may or may not get it. It's in His time.
Right.
It's for His reason. His mind is greater than ours. We can't figure it out. I don't try to figure it out. I just try to do what I need to do, and I ask for forgiveness by thought, word, or deed during the course of the day, and when I get the opportunity, we try it again. So my answer is I go to the source. I continue to try to be around people like you all, you know, people that feed you, people that encourage you, people that you can laugh with, people that you know to be there, that when you fall, they'll be there to catch you. They will be there to support you. They will check in with you. They'll hold your hand. They'll watch you when you cry. They'll give you a clinic. They'll tell you it's going to be okay.
Yes.
You know, it's just a part of that village and that family of good people and staying connected that keeps you moving.
Well said, sir. Well said. I concur. I concur. I tell you, the source.
Yes, yes, and that's all. That's literally all what we want to impart to our audience, to our community, that they have to go to the source. So all you did was resonate that back to what we talk about, keeping it real about life, love, relationships, and where we get that from, and that is the source.
And really, that's the mic drop moment right there, to be honest.
It is.
You know, if I had, we had to drop it on that one, bro. That's all right now to say. Because I mean, really, that the source, absolutely, and I really appreciate all the gems you dropped. And again, our prayers is that God put back in you even double and triple what you give out.
Yes.
You know, even with your marriage and giving you the strength to continue, and I want to say, continue to let the love shine in the actions that you do. You know, so love in action, brother. And just to hear you talk about the things that you're doing, washing clothes, the washing the dishes, and all of this, hey, man, we don't know where God will have us. But the thing is to be available for each other, whatever that state is. And I know just a few weeks ago, we had a scare, you know, a little bit with Melinda. And it was a shakeup. Again, I have to say, I admit, because we were given some news health-wise, and it had me to a point. And I said, Lord, we got so much to do. Lord, we're just starting. We need to do some things. And I said, I know you're not ready in our chapter, Lord. I don't believe this is in right now. And I say, but Lord, if that's what you're doing, I'm going to say, Lord, allow us more time to get things done because we want to glorify you. And yet we got some good news and all of that. And just like as we did our next podcast about missing the water when the well runs dry, we have to appreciate each other. And that's what we need to demonstrate, not just in relationship of marriage, but with family. And that needs to trickle down. We as a community, we need to get back to demonstrating love as we did growing up. And we really appreciate everything.
Yeah.
And I say this is, I would say, life altering when you hear messages like this, bro. Really do.
Well, continue prayer for Miss Sarah.
Yes.
You know, we're thinking about her, and you know, we will be up in that area soon, and we're going to give you a call and see if we can come over and or meet up somewhere or bring you some cornbread or something. I ain't cooking it.
No, we just go out to dinner, hopefully, maybe, or if not.
I make sure whether we're cooking. Please.
Yes, sir. I got you. Yeah, and that's something I've been doing for years. Yeah, I do most. Cause you know sometimes some men don't admit it. I remember back in the '90s, I started a little group. It's on a different note. And in the group, we were encouraging men. There were several men older than myself, and I'm encouraging. We're talking, and I started talking about cooking and several things. And one of the brothers looked at me. He said, "So, bro, you cook?" And I say, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Oh, man, I'm come through. I do good." And he started, but he would not have said much about that if I didn't admit the cooking. Nothing wrong with it, man. I enjoy it too. But
My father cooked, and he was a good cook.
yes, sir, definitely.
I have a good role model, and so like what I'm cooking, and
I got you.
I like it. So it's hey,
Thank you.
like it.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
Okay, well, with that in mind, you
Yeah.
got anything? So, again, we appreciate you. We appreciate the audience being with us, and we hope that you take the words that you've heard tonight and put them into action and create something positive in the long run, because our goal is to take one marriage. We want to change the world one marriage at a time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's our goal. It's a big
I did want to ask,
Go ahead.
though, Mr. Alston, do you have either a website or a podcast or anything that people can connect with you?
I do not at the time. I've had several websites. I used to send out the motivational moments. I've been toying with the idea of a podcast for some time, and just have not pulled the trigger. Part of that is just having the time to focus and sit down to get it done. But anyone can reach out at any time. They can email, they can text if you have a question or suggestion or recommendation for something. Any one of your audience can feel free to do that. So I'm always available and always looking forward to meeting new people and connecting and help as well as I can.
Okay. And do you have where they can connect for your past motivational moments? Is there a YouTube or anything like that you have? And if you do,
There's a website which is Motivational Moments with Nigel Alston. You can actually Google that. And so I haven't posted anything in a long time, but there are a lot of motivational moment stories, some of the columns that I've written in years past. So that is still active and something that you can actually go out and visit, and you can message through that. It'll pop in on anything that's posted on the site.
wonderful. Thank you. So, we'll drop that in the description here on the channel as well. But we like to share, to our audience, and the audience sharing to others this powerful man that have provided us some awesome gems and understand the benefits of the importance of being committed. And that's in business and in marriage.
Yes.
So,
Life in general.
yeah. So thank you so much. Mr. Alston. And until next time, we see you again soon, and in our audience. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, right. So again, we appreciate everybody. Appreciate you. Mr. Austin. Again, God bless you. God bless the audience. We want to say, just keeping it real with Charles and
Melinda.
yep. And Mr. Austin. Yep. So great. Well, thanks for doing it. Sure. Yes, sir. We appreciate you.
We'll be in touch.
Right, definitely. Be blessed, bro.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey.
Yes.
Just keeping it real, no pretend. Charles and